Hey, let's talk about displacement on demand and why you have to drive 300,000 miles before a DOD system even begins to pay for itself. A few months ago, I bought a Caprice PPV at an auction, and one of the first things I did when I got that car home was to jump online and get educated about it. And on the online forums, the common thread over and over again were folks grumbling about the displacement on demand feature. Now, in 1981, Cadillac introduced a 6-liter engine. It was a V8, had a DOD feature that disconnected the rocker arms to transition the engine from 8 to 6 to 4-cylinder mode. Now, the programming and the electronics at the time just wasn't there, and the car would kick and buck when transitioning between the different cylinder modes. Now, Cadillac introduced 13 different software updates during that period to try to smooth out the system. But ultimately, the service departments ended up disconnecting the DOD electronics, which just left the car in V8 mode. But displacement on demand goes back a lot further. It goes all the way back to 1916 when a V12 engine was designed, and part of the design included a lever on the steering column, much like you would see on a Crown Vic, and you would pull on that lever. It would physically move the rocker arms out of the way and close the butterfly in the intake manifold, and it will shut down the entire side of the engine, all 6 cylinders. Now, the current day DOD system by General Motors came out in 2005 with the Trailblazer EXT, and by 2007 the DOD feature was added to a bunch of other cars and trucks in the lineup. So fast forward to a few weeks ago, I'm at the auction, I buy a Tahoe PPV, it has an engine knock, it's later diagnosed as cam and lifter problems as a result of the displacement on demand system. And at that point, that's when I want to learn as much as I can about DOD and how it works and what the problems are. So I jump online, and I wasn't able to find any single source of information that put it all together for me cohesively. I went to the GM website, I went to YouTube, I went to various forums and websites, and I was finally able to piece together little bits of information about the DOD system until I can eventually put it all together in my head. And that's where I'm at today. And here's what I know about the DOD system. It's displacement on demand. It also goes by active fuel management. They're trademark names by General Motors. A bunch of other brands like Mercedes and Volkswagen and Mopar have a version of this as well. Now, the GM system uses 3 key components. First, there's a computer that activates the system based on a bunch of parameters like engine load, vacuum, and throttle position. The second is a solenoid manifold that sits directly under the intake manifold. And thirdly, there are unique valve lifters in the engine on the cylinders that get deactivated with the DOD system. So it works like this. The computer reads a signal for low horsepower needs based on throttle position and vacuum and such, sends a signal to cut off fuel to 4 of the cylinders, and then sends a signal to the solenoids under the intake manifold. These 4 solenoids send oil directly to these little holes in unique valve lifters. The valve lifters, with that oil injected in it, will collapse in a way that will allow the bottom half of the lifter to move up and down on the camshaft, but the upper half of the lifter will stay static, not moving the push rod or intake or exhaust valves. So the 2 outer cylinders on one side of the engine are turned off, while the 2 inner cylinders on the other side are turned off. So GM claims a 5 to 7% fuel savings with the displacement on demand system, and really it's all pretty clever. That is, until the engine converts back into 8-cylinder mode, but some of the lifters, or one of the lifters, doesn't reinstate. It doesn't start working again. That's when the cam lobe or the lifter wears down to the point that you get lifter tick or even low compression in that cylinder, or sometimes one of those solenoids under the intake manifold doesn't turn off and continues to spray oil that gets splashed up underneath the piston, causing crazy excessive oil burn. And that's when you need to tear the engine down, replace the cam and lifters, and even delete the displacement on demand system. Look, there's some real flaws here in the DOD system. And some folks with as little as 50, 60, 70,000 miles have complained about cam and lifter problems or excessive oil use. But the real joke here is the savings. GM says 5 to 7% by adding the DOD system. My Tahoe PPV, the EPA rates it at 16 miles per gallon combined city highway. That equates to a savings of about 1 gallon of gas for every fill-up. So say $3 a gallon, I'm saving $3 for every tank of gas. My Tahoe has 155,000 miles on it. At 16 miles per gallon, that truck used 9,687 gallons of gas during its lifetime. At that many gallons, and with 20 gallons per fill-up, that's 484 fill-ups during its lifetime. And if I'm saving 1 gallon of gas per fill-up, that's 484 gallons saved. 484 gallons at $3 a gallon. So that means I saved a total of $1,453 during the lifetime of this truck. It's impressive, I guess, until you start considering the cost of replacing those mechanical parts and doing a DOD Delete kit. The kit that I bought was $1,250 plus another $1,200 in labor and another $309 for the electronic tune modification. That's $2,759 in repair work as a result of a faulty DOD system. Well, that $2,759 and at $3 per gallon of gas, I would need to save a total of 919 gallons of gas to pay for that repair work. And remember, only 1 gallon of gas is saved per fill-up. So I would need 919 fill-ups before breaking even on the engine work. 919 fill-ups at 20 gallons each is 18,393 gallons of gas used at 16 miles per gallon. I would need to drive 300,000 miles before the cost of the engine repair and the value and the benefit of having that stupid DOD system would even begin to pay for itself. 300,000 miles! Thanks, GM.